financial problems, elder law, tax problems, business matters, divorce, personal injury, bankruptcy, your life, your reality. Life is complicated. There is the law and there is reality. Welcome to Law and Reality, sponsored by Thav Gross. Now here's your host, Ken Gross.
Welcome to this segment of Law and Reality. Here is the magic question. If you're 65, how long will you live? Jenny, welcome back to Law and Reality. What's your position on that?
I hope you're not saying I'm 65, Ken.
No.
Well,
None of us in this room are 65 or even remotely close.
Some may be
If
closer
you're
than others.
65 right now, I would, I've read the outline, so, it says 87. I would have guessed about 90.
So if you're a woman and you're 65 now, you can expect to live to be 87. And if you're a guy, you can expect to live 84. According to Jonathan Clements in a recent article that was in the Wall Street Journal.
There's an asterisk to that, though. You know
What
how
is
there's an asterisk like for the baseball records and everything? The asterisk is if you're single, you have to add 6 years
Why is that?
because you're single.
There you go. I had two quick thoughts on that. Well, number one was there's been a lot in the media, particularly with the election coming up and women running for president and Hillary and everything else, and Elizabeth Warren being a strong advocate on issues for equal pay for women, which is still there's a disparity. And I figured Jenny would have some strong feelings on this. And I would have to, I'm going to guess, but I would guess you're going to go along with me on this, that there's no justification for non-equal pay if a man and a woman are doing the same job. Do you agree with me, David?
Yes.
Okay, so that's my position. But I still thought when I read the article, Jenny, I said, if we get to equal pay, then shouldn't we get to live an equally long period of time? I'm happy with the 87 versus 84 difference. I think that's unfair, and I have a problem with that. Does that make any sense?
No.
None
I didn't-
whatsoever.
I didn't think so. I just wanted to share that thought.
But let me tell you something that happened recently in the area around here, because I used to sit on a local school board, and there's I think it's like a 10 acre parcel of property that was being sold.
Give me the 1 acre story, though.
And I am. And there were bids on the property from residential developers, several of them, and assisted living developers. And the assisted living offers were 3 times as high, which is telling me that our elder population is going to live longer. And even the people investing in the elder population, because they want a monetary return, they're willing to pay 3 times as
They
much.
see a longer run.
And absolutely.
Right. Because here, go back to these numbers, and here's my point is, for every person in this analysis, 65 to live to 87, every person that dies at 75, that means there's going to be a corresponding person that lives to 97 to make the average work.
Well, and is it if you're 30 now or if you're 20, you're going to live to 100?
No, then the numbers are different. If you're 30 now, your probability of living isn't going to be as long as this lifespan. The older you get, if you're alive at that point, the chances of you living a longer lifespan exists. I think where we're going on this is you're going to see if people, in 5 years, if people are living to 70, their numbers are going to be up closer to 100. It really also comes down to lifestyle choices. These numbers subsume the full range of the bell curve. The people that don't take care of themselves, that are diabetic, that are overweight, that don't go to screenings for health care and don't exercise. And on the other end of the bell curve is the extreme of the people that do all the screenings, have an appropriate diet, exercise on a regular basis. If you're over on that side of the bell curve, your numbers are going to be better right off the bat to start with, which means we're going to see people living longer. And now here was the point that John Clements made, is when it comes to the older couple, the older person, the question should be about living, not dying. And I love that expression, and I think it says a lot. And his point is this. When you're young, the thing you have to worry about is dying young, because you don't have savings, you don't have wealth, and you probably have a spouse and children, and you need to have a way of taking care of them. In that case, dying is the problem, and the solution is bump up your life insurance so you have a boatload of life insurance to protect your family in case of your short-ended demise. Whereas if you live long enough, at that point, dying is not your problem. Therefore, you don't need life insurance to cover your death. Living is what you have to worry about, and you have to make sure you have savings that's going to give you income through the rest of your life, which may not be 80, it may be 102, and you better make sure you have the money, because as we've talked about a lot when Pat Simasko's on the show and when Eric Glick's on the show, Eric's our estate planning expert, Pat's our elder law expert, you can't support yourself on Social Security.
I have a 104-year-old grandmother, and I could tell you the cost and care and the needs for the last 10 years have been astronomical.
Oh, it just, yeah, and nursing home care, and she's not in the nursing home, right? But nursing
Correct.
home care is $9,000 a month on current dollars. Imagine where it's going to be in 10 years. What happens if nursing home care goes up at the same rate as college tuition?
What percent of the
Oh, my God.
population could afford $9,000 a month?
That's why we have Medicaid. I don't know the number, but the number is small. I can tell you this guy can't. Can you afford $9,000 a month?
For grandma and grandpa?
Yeah, for 24 months.
No soup.
48 months. Jenny,
No
can
soup.
you?
Absolutely not.
Joe? No. Dave? No. Chris? No.
My dad was in well, it was assisted living, and it was $10,000 a month. We were thankful that between insurance and I believe Medicare, it was paid for, but there was going to come a time that they weren't going to pay for it anymore, and unfortunately he passed away before that, but I don't know what our family would have done.
Yeah. You've got two issues. You have to focus on how do I put my estate in order to take care of these issues, and the first one is the estate plan essentials of what you need to do when you're younger, and then the second issue is the Medicaid issue when you're dealing with when you're older, which is the elder law issue, and we've talked about that on the show before, and we're going to do a show shortly with Pat Simasko to come in on it. But I want to focus on the rest of this show is just what do we have to cover for the everyday estate plan. And I want to start with what legal documents do you need to cover death and incapacity? Is it only for older people? And here's the question. If you're Jenny's age, your age, and you have younger children, minor children, do you need an estate plan?
Absolutely.
First thing, the thing that hits people right off the bat is husband and wife go on a vacation, the plane crashes, God forbid, and now you have children that have no parents. Unless you have a guardian appointed in your will, it's going to be up to your family to decide who takes care of your kids. We'll be back right after the break.
It's devastating, the effects of debt and foreclosure on you and your family. There is a solution.
Worth Ave Gross, our firm will solve your problem. Some fear the word bankruptcy, but in reality, it's a strategy to save your home and to eliminate debt. If you're in financial trouble, timing is critical. You need to take action now. We've been saving homes and eliminating debt for over 33 years.
Call Fav Gross 888-235-HELP.
I'm Ken Gross, host of Law and Reality, with an important message. Simasko Law and Thav Gross are hosting a free seminar, Preventing Senior Citizen Financial Abuse. Benny Napoleon, Kim Worthy's response team, elder law expert Pat Simasko, and I will speak, and Detroit watchdog Steve Hood will be our MC. It's about preserving and protecting your income. Join us Saturday morning, May 30th, 10:30 to 12:30 at Greater Grace Temple. For free tickets, call 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP, or register at cannotaffordtolose.com.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
Worth Ave Gross, our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call Fav Gross.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call Thav Gross today, 888-235-HELP.
A lifetime of hard work. If you don't have the right plan in place, you can lose your home, your savings, and more. And you didn't come this far to lose everything. Samasco Law wants you to know that laws are changing. Today, the average cost of nursing home care is $85,000 a year. With proper planning, we can help protect your life savings and get you the Medicaid and nursing home benefits you deserve.
How much can you afford to lose? Call Samasco Law today.
If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
Thav Gross specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're Thav Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
All right, welcome back. So we're talking about how do you get your state in order because you want to protect yourself and for living, and you also want to make sure that you have these issues covered. So if you have minor children, your situation is you need a guardian appointed in the place to put that is in your will. And then if both husband and wife, are deceased and you have minor children, the guardian you picked takes care of the kids. If you don't have it, then the probate court, like you said, David, makes the determination. We were talking about it on the break. And sometimes you can have a fight that goes on that, you're not going to be around to hear about it because you're dead, but it's not good for the children. The two sets of grandparents are arguing as to who should take care of the kid.
And
the aunts and uncles are arguing.
You can also build in a check and balance. You could have a guardian that makes sort of life parental decisions. And you can also have a conservator appointed that could be the same person that, or it may not have to be, that sort of is a check and balances for the finances and the dollars.
Right. All right. Now let's go to the next question. What happens to your assets if you die and you don't have a will, you don't have a trust, you haven't taken care of it because it's not going to happen to me? Okay, that's the common kind of a situation. Or I haven't gotten around to it. It's not on my high list of agenda items. Well, if you don't have a will, you don't have a trust, your assets pass by the laws of intestate succession. We're popping a chart up on the television show. I'll give you the quick consequences.
Well, then what that means is that the government has written your estate plan for you.
Yeah, the statute does it. The state. When we say the government, the state government, it's a state law issue. If you have children but no spouse, the kids get everything. If you have a spouse and no children and no parents, then the spouse gets everything. But if you have a spouse and kids from your spouse, the spouse gets $150,000 plus 1/2 of the balance. So the other half of the balance goes to the kids. If you have spouse and parents, spouse gets the first $150,000 plus 3/4 of the balance. Parents get everything else, which isn't that much. If you have parents but no spouse or descendants, parents get everything. If you have siblings but no spouse, no parents, siblings get everything. You may not want those consequences, so the way to remedy that is make sure you have an estate plan. Now, you can do it with a will, but the problem with a will, and we've talked about it before on the show, is a will has to be probated through the probate court, which means you have to go through the probate process. Now, a lot of times estate planners, television shows, writings you'll see will make it sound like probate is the worst possible event. It's like having open heart surgery. I don't want people to think that because that's not reality. That's not how we practice law. But it is an expense. It's a public process, and it takes time. All three of those things that can be avoided if you, instead of just having a will, have a revocable living trust and a will as part of your estate plan, and you fund your assets into the trust before you die. These are easy things to do, and here's the big thing that nobody realizes. If you come into our office for an estate plan, whether we do it just a will with a power of attorney, or whether we do a will, a revocable living trust, and a power of attorney, the difference in the amount of analysis and time it takes to do a proper estate plan is about 3 seconds. The same exact issues have to be addressed. It's just a different form, and the cost differential is nominal.
Can I get
It's
this
not-
question?
It's not about money.
I get this question all the time. What happens if I do this estate plan and I forget to put a couple assets into the trust? I don't actually go through it. Is there some type of mechanism or funnel where it'll catch it at the end of the day?
Well, we do a general assignment. We do a general assignment that we have at the time of signing the estate plan that says I transfer all my other assets that I own into my trust effective at the time we sign the document. And if nobody objects, that will effectuate
so it's
it.
like a safety net.
It's a safety net. But if you run into a problem where you have differing interests between the beneficiaries and you haven't taken care of getting the assets into the trust and you can't prove it, then it can be a difficult task. The big mistake is a lot of people go to an estate planner, they give them the trust document, and then nobody takes care of telling the client what you need to do to transfer the assets into the trust. Good estate plans, like when you go to Eric Glick in our office and he does it, he makes sure that that gets taken care of and that you know exactly what to do, because it's an essential component of accomplishing the goal. I do not like clients coming into our office and getting 70% of what they need to get out of it. You gotta score. You gotta get across home plate. In the area of a revocable living trust, third base to home plate is making sure you fund the trust.
What about the issues of incapacity? Is that part of what you're talking about?
Yeah. Here are the issues that you need to address in an estate plan. You need to address living and dying. And in living comes incapacitation. Suppose you're elderly or even young, and you all of a sudden you can't act on your own behalf. You can't think, you have dementia and so forth. In that situation, if you have a revocable living trust and you have a durable power of attorney, under both of those documents, the person you designate as your successor, typically your spouse. If it's me, it would be my wife, but it doesn't have to be. That person can then step in and act for you while you're living, while you're incapacitated but alive. Once you die, the durable power of attorney has no effect. It's terminated, and then the successor trustee acts for you, and it would typically be your spouse. In
Jenny,
most
you
estate
deal
plans.
with the taxing authorities all the time, and especially with older people or people that do become incapacitated. Do you find that if you have these documents in place, that the revenue officers or the federal government or the state, will they honor them and let you have a dialogue through those representatives?
If set up properly, most of the time you will be able to do that, as long as it wasn't done to hinder tax collection.
So you could have a scenario where you need to make a move, and without those documents, you could have a significant adverse tax consequence.
Correct.
You may not be able to get offers through or anything
You run
like
into
that.
horrible things all the time. You know, you've got your spouse and they're in the hospital. They can't act for themselves. It's a high-stress period of time, and you have to pay bills, and the money's in the spouse's bank account. You got to run to court, have a conservatorship appointed for a person. You got to hire an attorney. You're inconvenienced with expense and things that you have to do at the worst possible times in your life. And if you have the durable power of attorney in place, the revocable living trust, you never have that problem. And how do you go about doing that? We're going to come back from the break and we're going to do announcements. But you go to our new website, which I love, that's there, and you click right on the little button there, and you put estate planning button here for help, and then you put your name and your email and your phone, and we call you back and schedule a free appointment.
Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
Worth Ave Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
A lifetime of hard work. If you don't have the right plan in place, you can lose your home, your savings, and more. And you didn't come this far to lose everything. Samasco Law wants you to know that laws are changing. Today, the average cost of nursing home care is $85,000 a year. With proper planning, we can help protect your life savings and get you the Medicaid and nursing home benefits you deserve.
How much can you afford to lose? Call Samasco Law today.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're Thav Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call Thav Gross.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call Thav Gross today, 888-235-HELP.
I'm Ken Gross, host of Law and Reality, with an important message. Samasco Law and Thav Gross are hosting a free seminar, Preventing Senior Citizen Financial Abuse. Benny Napoleon, Kim Worthy's response team, elder law expert Pat Samasco, and I will speak, and Detroit watchdog Steve Hood will be our MC. It's about preserving and protecting your income. Join us Saturday morning, May 30th, 10:30 to 12:30 at Greater Grace Temple. For free tickets, call 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP, or register at cannotafforddtolose.com. Welcome back. Let's do announcements, and I want to finish up issues on the estate plan. First of all, I forgot to mention it. We have a new show, Law and Reality Live, that is on Tuesday afternoons from 12 to 1. It's actually on WCHB. That's 1200 AM and 99.9 FM with Cliff Russell, and I want to welcome that new audience that may be watching the TV version of the show on Sundays. We're having a great time on that show, and the audience has been terrific so far, and we really are excited about that continuing process. Events coming up. We have a seminar coming up Saturday, May 30th, Preventing Senior Citizen Financial Abuse. Steve Hood is going to be our master of ceremonies. Featured speakers, Benny Napoleon, Kim Worthy's response team, Pat Samasco, and myself. We're going to be talking about elder law issues. That's from 10:30 to 12:30 at Greater Grace Temple. You can sign up for that at lawandreality.com or cannotafforddtolose.com. You can also call 888-235-HELP. We have an upcoming seminar for the smartest way to minimize debt on June 3rd, Wednesday, focusing on a preserve future income for you and your family, how to get rid of debt. That's from 7 to 8:30 p.m. in Bingham Farms. You can sign up for that at thavgross.com and lawandreality.com. I want to thank our sponsors, Pat Samasco from Samasco Law and Thav Gross. We also have special reports, Retiree's Guide to Social Security by Pat Samasco at ssifreereport.com, and How to Save Your Home with Regulation X, The Hidden Secrets. That's available at regxhomesaver.com. All right, back to estate planning. So along with the revocable living trust, I'm just going to kind of lay out for you the key documents. You need a durable power of attorney, which I've mentioned. Now, a durable power of attorney, it takes effect when you're living, and it allows someone to act on your behalf for you to take care of whatever it is you need taken care of. There are two types of durable powers. There's a springing power, or there's an outright power. A springing power only comes into effect when you are incapacitated, and typically the durable power would say when, in the opinion of two licensed medical professionals, you're incapacitated, then the power becomes effective. That is a planning issue that couples need to make a decision on as to whether they want it to spring or they want it to be automatic from a standpoint of it's kind of a trust issue and a protection issue. You also have a healthcare power of attorney, which is your living will, which is your living designation. If you're in the hospital and the decision is do you want to be resuscitated or do you want no code instructions, that's the living will. It's an important document to have when you're going into surgeries and things like that. Now, something people don't realize, some assets pass not by the laws of intestate succession, even if you don't have a will or a trust, but by operation of law. Examples: if you have real estate owned by husband and wife, it's called a tenancy by the entirety. When the first spouse dies, the second spouse automatically owns the property. You also have bank accounts that can be titled as a joint, also real estate, as joint tenants with rights of survivorship. In that case, when the first tenant dies, the remaining tenants, it could be one or more people, automatically own the property by operation of law. So it's a different way of owning property. The way in which property is held, where the property flows through the estate and doesn't transfer to the other owner, is a tenancy in common.
What if you have property that's upside down? Would you want that in the trust?
This is a major issue if you have property upside down. Let me give you a quick example. Suppose Mary's estate. She has $300,000 in cash in CDs, and she owns a house. Fair market value $125,000, mortgage $225,000. So she's $100,000 underwater. If Mary does nothing and dies, doesn't matter whether it's in the trust or whether in her estate. If it's in her estate, she dies. The bank's going to do what? They're going to make a claim for the $100,000 shortfall. That $300,000 is going to end up becoming $200,000 to Mary's children. Mary has to do something to protect, to take care of the problem of the underwater house. She has two options. Option one is short sell the house before she dies, so it's out of the estate. We've gotten rid of it. The bank waived the deficiency. If she doesn't do that or she can't do that, she needs to transfer the $300,000 in CDs out of her estate through an irrevocable trust to her children, providing provisions that still protect her so that they take care of her. But at the same time, when she then dies, the only thing that will be in her estate is the $100,000 underwater home, so the bank will not get any of the $300,000. There are things that she can do. She needs to plan for those. Other things you need to know. We're running out of time, and there's a boatload more of issues. We're going to have to carry this over to another segment. Never jointly title assets as a way of doing your estate plan. You run into tremendous disasters. Suppose your kids have financial problem. Mom puts kid's name on the house. Kid then gets divorced. Divorce attorney for other spouse says, hey, you own half of mom's house. I want my piece. I want a quarter of that in the property settlement. Suppose the kids have financial problems and they file bankruptcy. The bankruptcy trustee shows up and says, hey, you own half of your mother's house. We want to sell that house and pay off your creditors. That's a big problem.
Let me tell you where this happens real quick. You have young kid who has a medical issue, doesn't have proper insurance, has a $200,000 medical bill because he spent 4 days in the hospital and had 2 surgeries. He comes out, he can't pay that bill. He goes to a bankruptcy attorney. They don't do the proper analysis, and they file a Chapter 7. He says, we'll discharge it. It's medical bills. And you find out that mom or grandmother has the son for estate planning purposes on the deed. Trustee can sell that house.
Big problem. Bottom line on estate planning is you need to do it. It's not expensive. If you think it is, you need to investigate it. You should contact our office at Thav Gross. You should go to the Law and Reality website, just pick on estate plan, and then Eric Glick, our estate planning expert, will call you back for a free consultation. Thanks for listening and watching to this segment of Law and Reality.